I'm Mark Reiter, and I'm a Soils and Nutrient Management Extension Specialist at the Virginia Tech Eastern Shore Agricultural Research and Extension Center. So what I wanted to do today was to answer the question on how we should properly fertilize and care for our soil when you're growing edamame. Because one of the biggest questions we have is, do we treat this more like a traditional soybean crop, or do we treat it more like a specialty vegetable type crop? So one thing to consider with edamame is we want to ensure that our pods mature as closest together as we can to help with harvesting, and also to make sure that we're harvesting the best, biggest pods that are available for the end consumer. So one of the questions we have, especially when growing soybeans on these coastal plain, low organic matter, droughty type soils, is how do we fertilize them? And also, do we need extra nutrients that we typically would not need for a soybean crop? For instance, for soybeans, we don't need to apply nitrogen because they're a legume. So we typically apply some lime to adjust the soil pH, some phosphorus and potassium is needed. You allow the plant to mature, and we really don't care when they mature. It's ultimately, we're not going to harvest the crop until they're all fully matured and dried down and down to a pretty stable moisture. But edamame, on the other hand, we want to harvest green, more similar to a specialty crop like a green bean. So for those, we need to make sure all the pods are maturing, or at least the pods that we want are maturing at the same time. So with that, some things we're looking at doing, especially in these sandy, low organic matter type soils, is taking a look at the additions of nitrogen and sulfur to aid in getting the plant to grow quickly, as well as getting all the pods to mature at a more similar time for harvest. So that's one thing that we're really taking a look at, is whether we need a starter fertilizer to really help the plant to get off and growing, and then also how much nitrogen might be needed. So one thing to note, when we talk about a soybean, typically in the United States, we really don't apply nitrogen since they are that legume. And there's been some research done saying that it really doesn't pay off. But one of our questions is, if we treat it more like a vegetable crop, like say a fresh market green bean, the whole economics change when you come to nitrogen. Is that nitrogen fertilizer is now a very small part of that enterprise budget. So now maybe we can afford to apply some nitrogen to help get better and larger pods for growth. So just comparing these again to fresh market beans, snap beans, typically in that system we would apply nitrogen at planting or with the planter, and then come back a few weeks later and apply some more nitrogen to make sure that nitrogen is still in the soil system as that plant needs it. So it's one thing we really hope to take a look at, to hone in to see if it's beneficial in edamame. So overall, we really are looking at the 4 R's of nutrient management and nutrient stewardship. Ensuring that nutrients are applied at the right rate, using the right source, using the right placement so the seed and plant can get them as needed, and the right timing to make sure those nutrients are able to be taken up in that plant for high yields and also a high quality. So check back as this project continues, and hopefully we'll have some great answers on what the proper soil fertility management protocols will be for growing edamame here in Virginia. Thank you.